But they're playing at home this week, and they've never lost a home game. So, well, they lost a home game last week, so the mama know. All right, it's time for the last preview and prediction video of the week. We do 3 of these every week. On Tuesday, I do all the SEC teams. On Wednesday, I do all the top 25 teams. And today, Thursday, I do all the other games that are of interest to me that don't fit in those other 2 categories. And we got some pretty good teams to talk about today, or at least interesting teams, right? Michigan State at Northwestern should be a good one. What about Louisville at FSU? Could get ugly in Tallahassee if that one doesn't go the Seminoles' way. App State at North Carolina. West Virginia at Kansas. A couple others, too, we're going to run through in today's video right now.
We about to turn it on.
All right, all the numbers I use in today's video in terms of point spreads, over-unders, odds, money lines, all those kinds of things are going to come straight from betnow.eu, and they're accurate as of about 9 a.m. this morning. There's a link in the description of this video. Click that link and it'll take you over there. Get yourself signed up, win some money betting on college football this year. When you sign up, make sure you use the promo code UNCLELOU. They're going to give you a bonus on whatever you deposit. Good luck. These are going to be Saturday games in chronological order. So we're going to do a couple of noon games and go up through the games later in the day. Up first, you got Monroe on the road at Iowa State. Iowa State trying to rebound, of course, from that in-state rivalry loss this past weekend to Iowa. Ended up being a really good game. It was delayed. It started, I think, at noon, ended at 8 or 9 at night or whatever it was. Lots of weather delays, long weather delays. Iowa State came out on the losing end. But they're playing at home this week, and they've never lost a home game. So, well, they lost a home game last week, so the mama knows. They're playing at home this week, and they've only ever lost 1 home game. Unfortunately, that was last week. I don't know. This is news to me. I thought they never lost a home game. I don't know. They're an 18.5-point favorite. This one comes on 12 o'clock over on FS1. I'm going to go with the home team to get the rebound here and beat Monroe by more than the 18.5. Okay, this is an interesting game here. Michigan State on the road at Northwestern, 12 o'clock over on ABC. Michigan State's a 9.5-point favorite. What has happened to Michigan State's offense? Now, I got fooled, okay? They had a terrible offense last year, but they had a ton of injuries. I mean, quarterback, running back, wide receiver. I mean, 9 of their starters were injured at one point or another on the offensive side of the ball last year. They had a great defense last year, and they had most of that defense coming back, and I said, well, no way they get hit that bad with injuries again this year. The offense is going to be a lot better. Boy, was I wrong. This offense is just absolutely terrible. It's bordering on UCLA level bad at this point, this Michigan State offense. I talked a lot about this last night on the live stream. I'll go over some of the numbers again here, though. But if you go back to last season, up through now, and you look at Michigan State's last 5 games against Power 5 teams, they've scored a total of 3 touchdowns in those 5 games. It's just been absolutely pitiful. The most points they've scored against a Power 5 team in that 5-game stretch, 14. And that was against Rutgers. Just absolutely abysmal offense by Michigan State. They're a 9.5-point road favorite at Northwestern. A really good coach team. Northwestern is never the most talented team in the Big Ten, obviously. You look at the recruiting rankings or you know, who ends up getting drafted, however you want to look at it. They're never the most talented team, but they're always one of the best coached teams. They're disciplined. They play good fundamental football. And Coach Fitzgerald there at Northwestern, he's been there a long time. He's one of these guys, you hear this saying all the time, he seems to get the absolute most out of the talent he is able to get there. There is no way, given what I've seen over Michigan State's offense over this season, last season, like I mentioned, the last 5 Power 5 games, just absolutely pitiful on the offensive side of the ball. There is no way I'm laying 9.5 points with Michigan State on the road at Northwestern. I would not be surprised, and I don't think anybody would, to see Northwestern actually win this game outright. I'm not confident enough in that because Michigan State's defense is still so good to actually play Northwestern on the money line. If you are, then you should, because you could really get paid out here. You can see the money line odds there at the end, so you'll get, you'll win way more than you risk there. But I'm definitely taking Northwestern here and the 9.5 points. All right, 3:30 over on ESPN. How bad can things get in Tallahassee? Well, we're going to find out this week if they lose. They're hosting Louisville. Louisville, as bad as Florida State was last year, Louisville was worse. We'll see what happens this week. Louisville has looked okay at times in the first half against Notre Dame. They gave them some trouble. We'll see. Of course, a brand new coaching staff there in Louisville. Florida State really reeling here. Of course, losing week 1 to Boise State after having a big lead at halftime. Barely escaping Louisiana Monroe after giving up another big lead in that game. Winning in overtime against Louisiana Monroe only because Louisiana Monroe missed an extra point. And then last week catching a loss on the road at Virginia. So they're sitting at 1-2, off to a dismal start again for Florida State. Willie Taggart doesn't know what he's doing. No matter how mad Florida State Seminole fans get about that, and I've been telling you that for a year now. This guy, I don't know how he got this job to start with. He's got a losing record everywhere he's been as a head coach. What's he doing at Florida State? Losing record. It's just like South Carolina fans. You hire Will Muschamp. The guy was at Florida with Florida talent in the SEC East and couldn't win. South Carolina hires him into the SEC East, and South Carolina fans are scratching their head, wondering how come they can't win. You get what you pay for. Wasn't it Maya Angelou that said, when somebody shows you who they are, believe them? Well, Will Muschamp and Willie Taggart have showed you who they is. And he's not a good coach. I'm going to take Louisville here on the road. Give me the 6.5 points. App State on the road at UNC. UNC started off kind of hot, right? 1 week, 1 against South Carolina as an underdog. 1 week, 2 against Miami as an underdog. Then they catch sort of an unexplainable loss last week. They're sitting at 2-1. Mac Brown still overperforming, I think, outperforming expectations. If you look at where people thought UNC would be at this point in the year, they're definitely still ahead of the curve. They're a 3-point home favorite in this one. This is sort of an in-state, I don't know if I would call it a rivalry game, but 2 in-state schools, 2 North Carolina schools here. App State, traditionally one of the better lower classification schools, but they do have a new coaching staff this year. I'm going to take the Tar Heels to bounce back after a tough loss last week at home against this lower classification school. I trust Mac Brown here against a new coaching staff at App State. 3 points is not a whole lot. I think North Carolina can win somewhere in the 7-10 range. Sam Howell's going to have another good game at quarterback. True freshman with North Carolina's looked good most of the year. He's going to have to play good again here, but I'm going to take the Tar Heels and lay those 3 points. Central Michigan at Miami, 4 o'clock on the ACC network. Miami's a 29.5 point favorite. I'm going to take Central Michigan here. I do think Miami will win. If you look at last week's game, they ended up blowing out Bethune-Cookman, which everyone expected that. They won by what was it, 40 or 50 points, whatever it was. They didn't look that good in the first half. It was kind of a tale of two halves in that game. I mean, the game was never in doubt or in question or anything like that, but they didn't come out and start that game maybe the way you expected they would. I don't really think they can afford to do that against Central Michigan, at least not in terms of covering this 29.5. That's over 4 touchdowns. I'm going to take Central Michigan here in these 29.5. I do think this isn't a trash Miami thing. I do think Miami definitely wins this game. It's at home. I don't see any way Miami loses, and they'll, they could win this game by 24, 26, 27 points. You would still win the bet here at 29.5. I'm going to go with Central Michigan and give me all those 29.5 points. West Virginia at Kansas. Man, what do you do here? West Virginia looks terrible 1 week, looks decent the next. Kansas goes out, can't score, can barely score 13, 14 points the first couple of weeks of the season. Then they go on the road to Boston College and think, well, they have no chance here. Is Boston College any good? No, but Kansas doesn't have any offense, and they're Kansas. They go on the road to Boston College, put up 48 points. Where did that come from? I don't know. Did they shoot their load all in one game? Now they come back home here and host a West Virginia team that's, of course, brand new coaching staff, roster almost completely flipped over from last year to this year because of graduation, entrance into the NFL draft, a whole bunch of transfers, some injuries, just a totally new look here for West Virginia this year, year one under that new staff. Hard to peg this game here. Was last week an anomaly for Kansas putting up those 48 points, or has Les Miles figured something out there with the Jayhawks and is going to have a good offense going forward? West Virginia doesn't have a great defense. I think the potential exists for Kansas to put up Maybe not 48, but definitely into the 20s, maybe even the 30s here. I think this will be a pretty high-scoring game if Kansas's offense plays like it played last week. I'm really torn here. I probably would not play this game, but you guys get mad if I don't come down on one side or the other here. I'm still not 100% sold on Kansas yet. Now, they come out and win this week, I'll change my mind. And when I say sold, I'm not talking 9-10 wins. I mean, people had Kansas winning 2 and 3 games. If they win this one, it's the potential exists then for bowl eligibility. So that's what I mean. I would be sold on them perhaps making a bowl game if they can come out and prove a point again this week against West Virginia. If you make me pick a side right now, though, I'm going to go with West Virginia and lay the 4 on the road, but I would stay away from this game. These are 2 really hard teams to figure out at this point this season. Nebraska on the road at Illinois. Nebraska's been a little disappointing this year, too. A lot of hype and expectation coming into this year. Some of it deserved, some of it undeserved. I get it. I understand what Scott Frost did in year 2 at Central Florida. That's not really comparable to what he's dealing with year 2 at Nebraska. Obviously, the competition level is much, much higher for Nebraska than it was at Central Florida. And I just don't know that there's very many comparisons between the 2 situations other than Scott Frost being the coach. Adrian Martinez has been a little disappointing. He's been a lot disappointing this year. If you look at the expectations, again, he was on a lot of people's Heisman list heading into this season. He broke all kinds of freshman records last year at quarterback in terms of total yards and things like that. Hasn't looked as good yet this year as what we saw him look the majority of last year. With that being said, Illinois is not a good team. If Nebraska has any chance of salvaging this season in terms of trying to get to 8 or 9 wins, I still think they make a bowl game without question, but the expectations were a lot higher than just making a bowl game this year. If they've got any chance of getting to 8 or 9 wins, these are the games they've got to start winning, and winning convincingly against teams like Illinois. I'm going to give Nebraska the benefit of the doubt for one more week, especially with this number being just under the 2-touchdown mark of 14 points. It's at 13.5. Give me the Cornhuskers here on the road and lay the 13.5. All right, that's it for all the previews for this week. SEC was Tuesday. The top 25 was yesterday, Wednesday, and now I did a few other games here that are interesting to me here today. And most of these games, honestly, were suggestions from over on the Uncle Lou Patreon page. You can click the link down below that says support the channel and join the Patreon page. That'll take you over there. Get yourself signed up if you want to do that. But that's it for the previews and predictions. We got another live show tonight at 10 p.m. The live shows have been unreal this week. I normally do them on Tuesday and Thursday nights during the week at 10 p.m. This week I added the Wednesday show because there were so many of you guys tuned in on Tuesday. Lots of good games this week. Of course, the Georgia-Notre Dame game. We spent a lot of time talking about that on the live shows. It gives us a chance to get into a little bit more depth and detail and analysis and things like that into some of these games that I just don't have time to do during the week with these produced videos that I'm uploading here on YouTube. Plus, we take phone calls, which is great because I love hearing the opinions of you guys. You guys hear my opinions all week long, constantly here with these videos that I upload. I like doing these live shows and listening to what you guys have to say. So we added a third show for the week, which was last night. Tonight, regular scheduled show at 10 p.m. So tune in. If you've never tuned into one of those live shows before and you don't like some of the trash talking stuff that I do in the other videos, try the live shows out. There's a lot less of that on the live shows. They tend to be more straight-laced football type videos. So if that's the kind of thing you're looking for, check the live shows out. But again, that's tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern. And every single week, Tuesday and Thursday at 10 p.m. Eastern. I also do the same thing Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. When College Game Day comes on. I put College Game Day and SEC Nation and all that on the TVs out here, and fire up the live stream and watch College Game Day and ESPN Nation with you guys, take phone calls, talk about the big games that day, things like that. But anyway, I really appreciate you guys watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're not already. I post college football videos almost every single day of the year. Some of them are watchable, some of them aren't. You know, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. The beholder would be you. Yeah. Give this video a thumbs up. Doesn't cost you anything. Helps me out a ton, though. I'd really appreciate it. All right. See you guys tonight for the live show at 10 p.m. Eastern. Have a good morning.